It's recording.
There's a guy named Verdi, I know you know him well. He has a long story that I'm here to tell. I went to his grave just the other day. He came out of it and I shouted zombie, but he shook his head and he told me no, and that there are things he wanted me to know about his life and the pieces he composed. I said start at the beginning. In the beginning he chose. He was born in Italy in 1813 in a place called Busseto is where he was seen. He wrote his first opera, Oberto was a name. It was in 1839, he got plenty of fame, but tragedy struck as he was working on his second. His wife Marguerite died, age 27. I forgot to mention that his kids died too during his first one. Why, we have no clue. It was hard for him and his opera suffered. All of them failed one after another, so he made a vow, he said never again. But he couldn't hold the ink back from his pen. In 3 years' time, he wrote another. I forgot. Hey, you're pretty good, why don't you help me out? Let's see, after that last one he did 14 in all. At this point he was walking pretty tall, but still he carried the weight of his loss. At this time the government was making him feel cross, so instead of writing all about love, the feeling that he claimed to be sent from above, he wrote of his trials that the Hebrews went through. He was known for fighting for independence too. Although he was a hero in many a way, there was a harsh price that he had to pay. After a while, critics didn't like his work. They started to see him as a big jerk, but his ideas were just too controversial. They weren't a daytime TV commercial. At times they were right, I must admit. But his second wife didn't care one bit. Verdi was ballin' and he bought an estate. Even though in life this was pretty late. Around this time he composed a selection, and to me this was close to perfection. Bear took to top. Bear Sim could stop. He wrote Requiem for his poet friend, a song that when you start the piece has mass, it brings in decibels, and what a story it tells. In 1874 Requiem was written, 1 year before Alessandro was bitten. Cerebral meningitis is how he passed. I guess nothing good ever lasts, but Requiem was written in his honor. Things like this really make you ponder. 12 composers working together to make Requiem even better. Verdi was happy with his comrades, but they all left, leaving Verdi very sad. Marilyn was the leader of the group. He was getting lazy and didn't want to follow through, so now Verdi was writing all by himself, watching the work of 12 stack on a shelf. But he was up for it, he wasn't down for the count. He couldn't even think of sitting this one out. He composed and composed the night hours long. He composed a 90-minute song. The part called sequence is infamous. The part that sounds like hell to us, to him it probably just seems like noise, playing our emotions just like toys. He pleads to God, he asks for mercy, but his writing isn't quenched, it's still thirsty. He writes about the end like it's here, just keeps on writing with no fear. It's operatic in scale, dramatic in size. To write this you had to be very wise. After Requiem, two more made it big. He said his life was a pretty good gig. He walked back to his grave and he climbed in. He said in my Requiem I never cease, and that's my story, hope you liked it, peace.